If you've ever had a night when you thought nothing could possibly surprise you, only to have your whole world shift in an instant, then you'll know exactly how I felt. I was just about to turn out the light, sink into my pillow, and let sleep take me when I heard it. 3 quiet knocks on my bedroom door. I had no idea that behind that door stood my son Lucas, holding a piece of news that would change the way I saw him forever. Before I tell you what happened, I want to know, where are you watching us from tonight? I always love reading your comments and seeing how far our stories travel. Now let me take you back to that night. The house was dark and still, the kind of silence you only get when everyone's settled and the world outside is asleep. My bedside lamp cast a soft amber glow on the wall, the light pooling across the quilt that I pulled up to my waist. I just closed the book I'd been reading and was letting my eyes rest when I heard it. The soft, careful knock. Not the hurried thump of someone who's forgotten their keys or the loud rap of a delivery at the door. No, this was different. Deliberate, hesitant. I sat up, brushing the hair from my face. "Come in," I called, my voice low so as not to disturb the rest of the house. The door creaked open just a few inches, and there was Lucas, his tall frame outlined by the hallway light behind him. His shoulders were slightly hunched, his hand still resting on the door frame, like he wasn't sure if he should be there at all. "Mom, can I talk to you?" His voice was quiet and something in it made me put the book aside immediately. "Of course. Come in," I said, patting the end of the bed. He stepped inside and closed the door behind him, the soft click sounding louder in the stillness. I noticed right away how he avoided meeting my eyes at first. He rubbed his hands together like he was trying to work up the courage to speak. It wasn't like him to come to meet us late at night, especially not looking so unsure. I studied him for a moment, the way a mother does without even thinking, the faint shadows under his eyes, the way his jaw tensed and relaxed like he was arguing with himself inside. I felt my chest tighten with a mix of concern and curiosity. "What's going on?" I asked gently. He hesitated, then sat down at the foot of my bed. The mattress tipped under his weight, the familiar scent of his cologne faint in the air, something warm like cedarwood. He stared at his hands for a long moment before finally speaking. "I wasn't sure if I should tell you this now, but I don't want to keep it from you any longer." His tone was steady now, but there was something behind it, a seriousness that made my pulse quicken. The room seemed smaller suddenly, the air thicker. Outside, the wind rattled the window slightly, a reminder that the night was still going on beyond our little world in that bedroom. "What is it?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He took a deep breath, then finally met my eyes. And in that moment I knew whatever he was about to say, it was important. "I've made a decision about something big. Something that's going to change things for me. For both of us, actually." I blinked, searching his face for clues. "Change? How?" He stopped, glanced away for a moment, then back at me, his eyes sharper now, more certain. "I've been thinking a lot about where my life is going. And tonight I realized I can't keep living the way I have been. I need to take a step I've been avoiding for years." A part of me wanted to reach for his hand to anchor him, but I stayed still. He needed to get the words out in his own time. "You've always told me to be honest with myself," he continued. "And I think I'm finally ready to do that. It's not just about me anymore. It's about the people I care about you." His eyes held mine, and for a second, I felt something shift in the air between us. The same boy I had watched grow into a man was sitting in front of me. But tonight he felt different, more resolute. I leaned forward slightly. "Lucas, you're scaring me a little. What is this decision?" He let out a long breath, his shoulders dropping just slightly as though releasing the weight of holding it in. "I'm leaving my job. I've already handed in my resignation, and I'm moving back here for good." The words hit me like a wave, both unexpected and strangely comforting. 100 questions tumbled into my mind, but none of them came out right away. Instead, I just looked at him. My heart caught somewhere between relief and concern. "Why?" I finally managed. He gave a faint smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Because I've realized what matters to me, and I don't want to waste any more time being away from the people who matter most. I want to be here with you." The sincerity in his voice made my throat tighten. I thought of all the years he'd been chasing his career in another city. The rare visits, the missed dinners, the birthdays celebrated over video calls. And now he was telling me it was over. That he was coming back. I reached over and put my hand on his. Lucas, that's a big decision. Are you sure? He nodded. I've never been more sure about anything. We sat there for a long moment in the soft glow of the lamp, neither of us speaking. The clock on my nightstand ticked quietly, marking each second in a night I knew I'd never forget. There was so much I wanted to ask, so much I needed to understand about what had led him here. But for now I just let myself feel it. The unexpected closeness, the quiet certainty in his voice, the strange comfort of knowing that sometimes life changes in the space of a knock on the door. The lamplight hummed in its quiet way, a warm halo that barely reached the corners of the room. After Lucas said he was moving back, we sat there with the softness of night collecting around us, both of us holding on to the silence like it might steady us. I realized my mouth had gone dry. 1,000 practical thoughts wanted to race out. Leases, boxes, sofas that never fit up stairwells, and yet the thing underneath the thing kept tugging at me. I needed to know what finally turned the key inside him. Will you tell me why now? I asked. Why tonight? He rubbed his thumb over the seam of my comforter, tracing small arcs like he was smoothing out a memory. I didn't want to say it over the phone. I kept thinking of how Dad used to say real conversations deserve a room and a door and the time to sit. The mention of his father arrived like the creak of an old step. Familiar, tender, a little fragile. I shifted to the edge of the bed, legs swinging to the floor, and nodded toward the hallway. He gave a grateful little smile and followed me out. The hallway was a ribbon of dim light, photographs leaning into the years. There was Lucas at 6 in a superhero cape, Lucas at 14 on the basketball court, Lucas at 20 with a smile too wide for his face. I paused by one. Him in a navy suit the day he drove off to his first job in another city. I remembered the drive that morning, my hands on the steering wheel, my heart doing a strange dance between pride and a pulling sadness I never quite learned how to name. In the kitchen, the quiet turned into domestic music. Kettle filling, cabinet door closing, the soft clink of 2 spoons on the counter. He stood with his palms flat against the island, looking at the small things that make a home. The fruit bowl with 2 bruised pears, the magnet that reads, "You are exactly where you need to be." The little glass jar of loose tea leaves that smell like orange peel in winter. I didn't leave because I hated my life there, he said, eyes on the jar. I left because I kept waking up with this wholeness. Not sad. Not exactly, just as if someone had swept through my days and taken all the color. The kettle began its soft hiss. I took down 2 mugs and waited for the words to settle. Sometimes hollowness is a message, I said. Sometimes it's a room we walk into so we can hear what we've been ignoring. He looked up at me, surprised, and then a kind of relief passed across his face. I knew you'd understand. When the kettle clipped off, the kitchen lights made tiny stars in the chrome. I poured, the steam curling upward, and handed him a mug. The heat felt good in my hands. I realized how tired I was only once the warmth told on me. Do you remember Miss Carson? He asked suddenly. From 7th grade. The one who made you rewrite that essay because she said you hid your real voice under fancy words. I laughed into the rim of his mug. That's the one. She told me once I was running too fast for my own questions to catch up. Said if I ever wanted to be happy, I'd need to learn how to turn around and let them tackle me. And tonight they caught you, I said softly. Tonight they caught me. He set the mug down and folded his arms, not defensive, just bracing. It started a few months ago. I kept getting these headaches after work. First I thought it was screens or too much coffee. And then one evening I stayed late to fix a report my team was pushing out. Something about projections that looked better than they were. Not a lie exactly. But the angle wasn't honest. I heard Dad's voice in my head, the way he used to say, "You don't have to be perfect, but try to be clear." I realized I couldn't keep being the person who smooths the edges of things that matter. The clock above the pantry ticked, gentle, ordinary. I watched the way Lucas held himself now. The same boy who used to plant his feet a little wider when he had a truth to say. So you resigned. I resigned, he echoed. But that's not all. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded paper, edges worn from being handled. When he spread it on the island, I recognized the handwriting right away. Arched and slanted, the stubborn elegance of a man who practiced his signature in the margins of the newspaper. Your father, I whispered, touching the corner. Where did you get this? From the garage, he said. The old workbench. There was a tin with screws and 2 little letters under them, both with my name. This one was dated the spring before he knew. His voice softened and held. He didn't have to finish the sentence. I nodded. The years collapsed for a moment, and there I was again, standing at the hospital window with a paper cup of coffee, while the city moved without noticing. It's strange how grief rearranges the furniture in your life, and yet the house is still yours to move through. Read it to me, I said. He smoothed the crease and began. Lucas, if you're reading this, you've come to a crossroads. Every person gets a few of those. The world will tell you to pick the road that looks clean and well posted. I learned the best road is usually the one where you can hear your own footsteps. He paused, swallowed, and kept going. Don't be afraid to come home if you need to. Home is not defeat. It's the place where you remember what your hands are for. Lucas stopped and looked up. His eyes were bright, not with tears exactly, but with the shine that comes when truth finds air. I felt something loosen in my chest, something that had hitchhiked a ride with worry for too long. We walked in, the carpet a soft hush under our steps. I switched on the lamp by the couch. The room had the comfortable clutter of a life lived, the Afghan draped over the arm, the books stacked on the side table, a small bowl of buttons I kept meaning to return to their rightful sweaters. Lucas sat, elbows on knees, gaze on the window where the black pane held the faint reflection of the two of us side by side. There's one more thing, he said. The way he said it made my breath pause, but not from fear. It sounded like the last lock turning on a door that wanted so badly to open. I didn't just come back for the program. I came back because I realized we've been living in fragments. Holidays and phone calls, jokes over text. That's not the life I want. If I can choose differently, I want ordinary Tuesdays. I want to hear you laugh in the kitchen because the radio plays that old song and you can't help yourself. I want to be present for the part of life that doesn't make it into photos. The words rocked through me like a gentle wave. I thought of how often I had saved up little stories for him, and then lost them to the thinness of a call. The neighbor's cat that decided our porch was her afternoon throne. The tomatoes that finally took in late August. The way clouds sometimes gathered over the house as if they were about to hold a meeting. I felt a warmth behind my ribs, and it was not just relief. It was being seen. You don't owe me your Tuesdays, I said, voice low. But I'm grateful for everyone you want to share. He sat back, a line of tension easing from his brow. There's a practical piece too. If it's okay with you, I'd like to stay here while I get my feet under me. Not forever. Just long enough to figure out this new rhythm. I can help with the mortgage. Or if you'd rather, I can pay a set amount. I don't want to put you out. I added up the years in my mind, the budgets and the lists, the way I had learned to say yes to myself in small but persistent ways. I thought of the quiet of the house some evenings, how the clock sometimes sounded like a distant train, how the television filled the space without asking permission. I realized what he was really offering wasn't just money or help with repairs. He was offering presence, and he was offering it with respect. We'll make a plan together, I said. You won't be a guest. You'll be a resident with responsibilities. We'll put it on paper so we're both clear. Agreed. His smile this time reached his eyes. Agreed. We let that word settle like a new piece of furniture finding its place. Then, because life has a sense of humor about timing, my phone buzzed on the coffee table. A message from my friend Ava appeared. You still awake? Tell me you didn't forget book club Friday. A small laugh slipped out of me. What? Lucas asked. Ava, I said, showing him the screen. Book club. She thinks I'm unredeemable if I miss again. You love those nights, he said. The lemon bars, the heated debates about whether a character's terrible decisions can be forgiven by a perfect last chapter. His grin tilted. Go. I'll be the one who locks up for once. I'll go, I said. But you're coming with me one time. They'll adopt you for your insightful digressions. He made a face that said he might consider it if he were bribed with lemon bars. The levity felt like a door cracked to fresh air. But underneath it the deeper current kept moving, steady and sure. Do you know, I said after a moment, that when you were little you used to stand at the back door and announce the weather to me like a town crier? You'd say alert? Smells like rain. Pancakes recommended. He scrubbed a hand over his face, laughing. I did not. You absolutely did. And I listened like it was the evening news. I let a beat pass. I still listen. The room quieted again. Not heavy, just full. He leaned his head back against the couch and closed his eyes for a moment, like someone who had finally put down a heavy bag. I watched the slow rise of his chest, and thought about what our days might look like with him here. 2 mugs left out by accident, the noise of a toolbox on a Saturday morning, an extra chair pulled to the table without ceremony. Moving back isn't a magic fix, I said. Because I also believe in telling the whole truth. There will be moments we get in each other's way. And there will be times when you'll wonder if you made a mistake. You're allowed to wonder. You're allowed to change again if you need to. The door that opens to welcome you home doesn't lock from the inside. He opened his eyes and turned his head to look at me. I don't know what the next chapter looks like, he said. But I know where I want to write it from. We didn't say anything after that for a while. The house settled into its midnight bones. Somewhere outside, a car whispered down the street. I thought of my bed upstairs and the pages of my book waiting like polite guests. But sleep felt far away in the best possible way. There are nights when you don't want to close your eyes because you're afraid the moment might drift off without leaving its forwarding address. This was one of those nights. Eventually we stood. He hugged me there in the living room. Not an urgent grip, just a sustained, deliberate embrace that said we had both arrived at the same place. When we let go, I touched his cheek like I used to do without thinking. He didn't flinch the way teenagers sometimes do. He leaned into it, older now, perhaps understanding what a hand on the face can hold. Welcome home, Lucas, I said. Thanks, Mom, he answered, voiced rough in a way that made it even warmer. Upstairs. I turned off the lamp in my room and slid beneath the quilt. The darkness was soft, not empty. In the quiet, I thought about the small, brave things that add up, the knock on a door, the letter in a garage, the truth spoken at a kitchen counter at midnight. I didn't know what repairs would demand our weekend, which bills would require careful negotiation, what compromises would test us, but I knew this. The hollow places in our lives are often room for something honest to move in. I closed my eyes and saw my son at the back door again, younger, calling up the weather to a woman who needed to be told. Alert, it smells like change. Pancakes recommended.